the big blue button, and then that sort of like makes us go live, just like this.
But
Oh,
I'm not ready
whoops.
yet.
Yeah, well, you were saying your face is crooked.
It
Still
is.
kind of is a little bit.
So's your face.
Your face is crooked.
Hey, you with the face.
What's going on? This is not our normal time for streaming, obviously. It's Thursday here today, Wednesday over there, but we couldn't stream on Monday because it was New Year's Day here. I mean, it was New Year's Eve over there, so I could have streamed, but we had a bit going on that day. How are you, Tio? How was your Christmas and New Year's? Was it good?
It was fantastic, man. We had K8MRD and we had K5YBY. And we
The best
had
voice in ham radio.
K5, KV5 and KR5 SIX, the SIX twins.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we all went out and did a POTA together in San Antonio. It's fantastic. It was a beautiful park.
Mike put a video up, K8MRD, of that recently, didn't he? So that was good. Did you enjoy that? How many contacts did you make in the park? You would have been a chaser's dream, having like what, 5 amateurs?
Yeah, I made like 30 contacts, but we kind of, like I played around a little bit with Vern and Mike, and then I played around a little bit by myself, and then we played around a little bit as a group, and then we had lunch, and then we all walked around the park together. So it was fun.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, mine was pretty quiet. I've been, over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing heaps of radio stuff and trying to get jobs out of the way. You know what it's like when you start a project and then you get like 10% through of it, you put it off to the side and you completely forget about it for 6 months and then you get back to it? That's what I was finishing off. I was doing that job.
Well, I think you got that repeater on the air, didn't you?
I did get that repeater on the air. I was doing that actually last night too at our radio club. So now one of the receivers is on there. The other two are sitting here. I can't move the camera down, but they're sitting on the desk here.
Lazy.
Just I can, but it's just going to mess up my shot. But yeah, that's operating now, which is good. So keep an ear out for that. And then I've got.
I can't see it.
I've got all of these. I don't know about you, but I've got all these videos to shoot, and I've just got no idea where to start.
I have 9 14-gallon totes worth of videos to shoot.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and that's just not products. That's just stuff,
and more stuff coming in. Yeah. There's stuff I want to do, and then there's stuff I have to do.
Yeah, well, I want to do. I mean, I've only got a couple more days worth of time off from work, but the weather's looking a bit average today. But I want to do satellite contacts. I want to do a couple of those with the.
I wanted to do that like 3 years ago. I still haven't gotten to it.
I know. So I've got the 70 D72, the full duplex radio, which I want to do some satellite contacts on. So that's why this video was this stream was titled Ham Radio in 2024. What are you going to be doing in 2024? Let us know in the chat what you want to do, what you want to get to, what you want to experiment with this year, and what's coming up. And a couple of things that are coming up are speaking of the Kenwood, the D75. We can look forward to that. Look forward to some new radio releases. I know that's a lot have already seen how much the D75 is, and they've already written it off. But
do you think Yezu's going to take a break on releasing new radios?
Well, I don't think so. But what's the next one to come? It's got to be a new HT by now, shouldn't it?
I don't know. I think the new 818.
A new 8. Oh, yes, you're right. A 705 competitor. Do you reckon we might see that at Hamvention?
They might do it at Hamcation.
Like that.
They released the FTM 200 at Hamcation 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay. So
up on Hamcation in February.
So it's not always, big. They might announce it. They might not have it, but they might announce it, right?
Right.
Yeah. We should ask John Cruck. John, are you in the?
He won't tell us.
John's not in the chat, and even
it doesn't
if
matter if he was in the chat, he won't tell us.
He wouldn't. No. Ham Radio fun with KO4 PDI. Sats, yes, you've done a few videos on your channel of satellites. I know that I've seen a couple, so Yeah, the
And
D72
that's
is
Mike's
awesome.
channel we're talking about. Mike KO4PDI has done a few videos on Mike's channel,
Mike's channel.
KO4PDI.
See, I was just trying to be nice because I couldn't remember his name, but I'm glad that you're here so that you could remember his name.
I'm actually kind of good with names. I
That's
figured
why
out why I don't. I figured out the reason why
I'm not
people
good
don't
with
remember
names.
names, and it's not going to be what you think it is. People walk up and they go, "Hey, I'm Hayden," and I'm like, "Good, whoever the hell you are. I don't know you. I know nothing about you. I have no care in the world. You mean nothing to me." And then like 5 seconds later, you're like, "Oh, I do satellite communications over ham radio," and I'm like, "Oh, you do satellite
Ah,
communications over ham radio? What's your name again?" You know. So I always try to make sure that like I wait an extra 5 minutes. You know.
thanks, Mike, for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mike.
And now that I've got your name, it's even better. Um,
Yeah, so just wait that extra 5 seconds. And somebody had did this. I went to a conference, and there must have been like 200 people at this conference, and he was the guest speaker. And before the conference started, I might have told this before. He walked. I'm going to tell you again. So just shut up and sit there and listen. I'm talking to you, Hayden, not the audience. The audience is polite enough; they wouldn't have said anything. But you,
was that Mrs. T.O. laughing in the background
Yeah,
at your sass?
yeah, it
Was it? Yeah.
yeah, it was. Anyway, this guy, his name was also Mike, went around and before he gave his speech, he introduced himself to everybody individually before the time he was supposed to go on, before the show started. And then he got up on the stage and he said, "Everybody, please stand up. When I call your name, please sit down." And he called every single person's name. And then he got down to the end and he struggled with like two, but he still pulled it out of the weeds. And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, memory is it. You can't. Oh, it's not Mike. It's Bob. His name's Bob Berg, and he's the Go Giver is the name of the book.
Yeah.
Bob Berg.
And it's even worse too when you meet a whole pile of people all at once, and you're like, "Oh, what's his name? The guy that I met like half an hour ago."
Memory is a trainable skill. You can definitely train your memory to be better.
Train it to be worse too.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. I mean, I put a lot of stuff in my exocortex, in my cell phone, like birthdays. I don't remember people's birthdays. That only happens once a year.
You've got a calendar for that,
right? Get a calendar reminder at 8 a.m. in the morning. Oh, you remember my birthday? Yep, you're right. I did.
So you reckon? So the Yaesu might come. We're thinking Yaesu this year might come out with a new 818 replacement. So that'd be interesting. What do you want to see in an 818 replacement?
I kind of want it to be the same form factor. I definitely wanted to have built-in USB-C. I wanted to have IQ out. I want that like man pack portable. The 705 is not man pack portable.
A bigger screen.
You can kind of fake it.
Let's be honest, a bigger screen than an 818.
I'm thinking like a flip up external display would be awesome, or a separate display option, and then just the little 2-line LED. It's a portable radio. It's not a desktop replacement. Like, stay true to your form.
Mm-hmm. Imagine if they had an app that you could connect your phone to it as well, and you could control it using your app, using like a graphical display of the front display.
Wouldn't that be awesome if they had an Android app or an iPhone app? Like, welcome to 2000. You know,
That would be pretty
display.
cool.
That's right, Rob.
Well, we know one thing. Apparently, this is the thing. We know one thing, but we don't really know it. Is that apparently the Solar Cycle 25 peak is supposed to be this year as well. So I'm surprised that we haven't seen more and more 10-meter radios coming out. And
a 10-meter radio that is like a legitimate radio. We should make single band radios a thing again that have built-in sound cards and stuff. Yeah.
Well, so we had that. We had the Radio Oddity QT40, which was basically just an Anytone radio, which the Anytone radio was probably another radio before that. So, and not the QT40. Sorry, no, the QT40 was the channelized one. What was there was another one.
You're thinking of the Quad 5 or the Quad 6.
The Quad, there's the Quad 5, but the Quad 5 Radio Oddity released something similar to it, or the exact same thing. And then Radio Oddity also released it was like the CB channel style one. I'm gonna have to
that was the QT40.
What was the other one?
Looked like an old Cobra.
Yeah. But I mean, that's not new though. That's pretty old. This is what we're trying to get at. I think James has hit the nail on the head. Is the is 10-meter and 12-meter SSB HCs. Here it is.
Right.
This one.
QT60.
QD60. So that was released. I mean, Solar Cycle 25 sort of has driven that a little bit. But
I would
we've
not
only really
mind
had
seeing
those.
a single band HT style HF rig. That would be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, you could just get a Zygu 6100 and turn it sideways, right? Because
But
that's
it
got a
wasn't
mic in it.
designed for that. It does. It has
No.
a mic and it has a PTT on the side. It's not terrible, but it wasn't designed to be an HT.
Mm.
I mean, more for the convenience, flash and fun of it. And it can have a coil in it. I don't care. I mean, I'm not carrying around a 40-foot whip on a HT.
Pilsner Popper says, what 10-meter antenna do you recommend? Any antenna that you can get up in the air usually works pretty well for 10 meters. 10 meters, when it opens up, you could work it, as they say, on a wet piece of string. But if you want a decent antenna, then probably something like the end-fed vertical flower pod antenna. What's the other? T2LT. You can make it out of a bit of coax. There's a video on my channel about building that. Have you done any videos on building 10-meter antennas?
I have not. I've done videos on building other antennas, and my schedule hasn't permitted me to even build out the car antennas that I have.
There you go. You could use a car antenna on 10 meters as well.
You could. But
have you tested that? Does it work well?
We have a couple of antennas that will work. We have the Mercury, which is a linked dipole at coffeeandhamradios.com. The Mercury linked dipole is good for whatever bands you cut it for. So 10 can be one of them. And then we have the Apollo end-fed half wave, which is good for 40, 20, 15, and 10. And then we have a couple of other antennas. We have a 9-to-1, which you can tune up on 10 if you wanted to, but it's not really defined for 10. And Rob is saying, what a brick, no sex appeal. I guess he's talking about you, Hayden.
Definitely not talking about the 6100 at all. So there's your link dipole. So your link dipole is the only thing in stock at the moment on coffeeandhamradios.com, right?
Well, I got to go get on Chuck about that. We got plenty of stuff in stock.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. No, and Rob's talking about the Radiodity. Were you talking about the QT60 or the QT40, Rob? The black one or the chrome one?
He might have been talking about
appeal and no radio.
He might have been talking about
the
6100, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, he's talking about the QT whatever.
Yeah.
The black one.
Yeah.
QT60.
Oh, this one. Yeah. Well, see that I did a video reviewing that. I mean, it's not a bad radio. It's probably one of the better ones. It actually puts out the amount of power that it specifies it does. Yeah, it actually puts that out. I do like the little S meter that's on it.
So this is a mobile radio meant to go in your car with a whip on your car.
Well, when you say that, I mean it's not small.
No.
It's not to scale. Yeah. It is pretty big. I mean, but you could use it at home as well. There we go. There's a better picture of the S meter.
But this is for people transitioning from CB into ham, I think.
Yeah, and they don't have
people who are transitioning from CB into ham, but really staying in CB land.
And it's a click. It's like a channel knob to move through the frequencies as well. So when you start going click click click, and all of a sudden you're only going in 1 hertz steps, you got to like press the button to change it. And there's a couple of other funky things that are a little bit weird with it. The thing that I do like about it though is it's got like CT, CSS, and everything else built into it. So if you want to work repeaters, you can do that. It's got an SWR power and SWR meter on the same meter, so you don't have to swap between the meters to see it. So you see those. So that's good. Now there was something James says. Look up that one. How do you say that?
I think that's an HT Ulbrich.
Ulbrich or Ulbrich?
I'm going to pronounce it American.
Okay. I'll pronounce it Australian. Ulbrich. Holy moly! Look at this. Look how expensive this thing is. $330.
Oh, but James has got that quirky money. He's all right.
AM, FM, USB, LSB. Let's zoom this up. He looks like he's just about to race a car, not talk to about it. Why would you?
Right.
Hang on a minute. If you're taking support calls, why are you wearing a headset like that? He looks like he's about to land a plane.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, 25.165 megahertz all the way up to 26.6. Oh, this is no good, though. It doesn't go up high enough. That's with an easy mod as well. That won't cover my 10 meter repeater. My 10 meter repeater is on 29.680. Four watts
9
SSB.
AA batteries. I think that's perfect. 4 watts, 5 watts.
So there is a video, and I'll bring it up while I think about it. I don't know if you know him. I can't remember what his name is. Larry. He's got a channel on YouTube.
Ham Radio Live?
No, Ham Radio Guy. This dude.
There's so many ham radio channels on YouTube now. It's great.
I know. There's something for everyone. Why can I only find my videos? Goodness me.
Filter bubble.
I know.
Hayden lives in an echo chamber.
This guy, Larry. There is a video on his
I've seen
channel,
it.
and I think it's one of his most popular videos. Here it is. 1,288 mile, 10 meter handheld ham radio contact. So yeah, I don't know what radio he's got in there. We'll have to look at it at some point.
So something I've started doing in my videos is I put in like today's shack in my description, because a lot of my videos I'm using a different radio, because that's what I find fun, is changing out radios or doing different kinds of experiments. So like if only he put in his description.
No, he did. A Magnum 1012, which is probably the same radio that we just looked at, except with a different...
the US version.
Probably. There we go.
Yeah, he had a little antenna on that. Looks like a 1980s police radio.
He said in the description what antenna he did have on it, but
it was just a little rubber duck. It wasn't anything special.
Well,
James is saying it is the same radio.
Yeah, expanded mode. It's got the same frequency range, but what I think, like these are relatively expensive. When are we going to get someone who actually makes these again, so that they're not that expensive, but they're pretty common? I mean, I want to be walking around with a 10 meter handheld radio. That'd be cool.
Well, you do a lot of 10 meter stuff, Hayden. How is 10 meters locally when the sun cycle isn't as high?
It's not too bad. I mean, you get decent range. The problem with 10 meters is, well, there's two problems, is noise level. Noise level is a lot higher than 2 meters or 70 centimeters. You get more gain on 2 meters and 70 centimeters in an antenna for the size. So a small handheld antenna is probably not going to get you as far as 2 meters. So by the time it all irons out, you probably don't get that much more range, even though it's on HF. But it is a fun band to play with when the band does open, because when the band opens, that's pretty cool. If you can talk
you
halfway
go from across the street to across the world, yeah.
Or across, yeah, and at minimum across the country. So
your 10 meter repeater that you're putting up now, is that the one you've got hooked up to All-Star and Echo Link and everything?
Yes. Yep.
Because I've talked to you on that repeater. You were out in your car, and I was using my 705 to go over All-Star, to go through the internet, to come out in Australia.
That was a different one. So that was a different repeater.
Hello,
that was the
Canada.
6 meter repeater. So that's the state of 10 meters at the moment. It's not too bad at the moment.
Not bad at all, no. So Ham Radio Rookie, this is the guy with that crazy J-pole you were talking about.
Ben. See, I remembered his name this time. I remembered his name.
I was
You were going through emails trying to find it. So Ben at Ham Radio Rookie's got a neat little antenna which he did a video on, which is of I was going to say roll up. Yeah, it's like a fabric roll up antenna, J-pole antenna.
Right,
and,
but it's more fabric than wire. It
is, but it looks like it. Did you see in the video where he scrunched it all up? And it's like, how cool would that be if you're doing I was thinking if you're doing SOTA or something, and it's probably the lightest SOTA antenna you could find, I would imagine, for 2 meters, that is. Throw it in the backpack and hook it on the top of your pole, and away you go. Or hang it in a tree or do something like that. It doesn't really matter. So,
Oh, Rancher's saying he's got a Yagi too. I got to take a look at that.
a
I still have
Yagi
to
for
catch
10
up on
meters.
videos. Oh, I don't know. He just has Ben has a Yagi of some sort.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Andy Cowley, the ultimate DXer.
Andy is the ultimate DXer and a member for 31 months. Fantastic, Andy.
2 meter Yagi.
Thank you for continuing to support the channel. So we're talking about what you're going to do this year in 2024 with ham radio. Hugh 6Y5NZ. 6Y5NZ. Where's that? I need to look this up. 6Y5NZ is Jamaica.
Nice.
Going to finish the renovation of my Clipperton L amp. Nice.
He calls it the flaggy. I like that. So the 2 meter Yagi that's sewn into a flag. That's awesome.
It really? He's got a Yagi that's sewn into a flag. That's pretty cool.
Knowing Ben and what he did with the J pole, that is my exact assumption.
Jason K4HEF has become a YouTube member. Thank you, Jason. What are we doing today? I don't know.
Doing Roger Beeps.
Oh.
I don't know.
We've got Roger Beeps on our repeater, so every time someone comes up with a handheld with a Roger Beep, we get double Roger Beep.
Nice.
So thank you, Jason. So James was talking about that handheld earlier, saying it's a ton of fun at this point in the solar cycle. I had one during the last solar cycle and made a lot of DX. The problem is if anyone comes out with a HT now that does 10 or 12 meters or something like that, like when I mean comes out with one that's easily obtainable, not one that you have to go to eBay or to some site and pay $360 for it because, they're pretty rare. The problem is like, they reckon the peak is supposedly supposed to be between January, so now, and like October. So there's a little bit of a window there, but I mean, when's the peak? You don't know until like several months afterwards. So I mean, have they left it too late? I don't know.
If you're asking me, I was totally not paying attention.
That's all right. I expect that.
Were you talking?
James? I don't know. You have to see if you can mod it further. Probably. Might be able to.
Little snip here, a little snip there.
Yeah, I guess you got to know what you're doing, don't you?
And you don't know.
Ray has a couple of old Dick Smith 11 meter CBs, intended to modify them for 10 meters, although AM only. Yeah. AM was, I mean, I don't operate. Have you ever operated AM? I think I've operated AM once or twice.
I want to, but I haven't. I'm intimidated by the old farts that like to call you out and make fun of you.
Do they do that on AM, do they?
Well, I mean, the only people that have AM radios have got to be of a certain age, right? And I'm totally, being stupid here. Now, there's the AM window, which is not necessarily like the only window where AM works, but it's the window of respect that we give to AM operators, so that they have room to be AM operators, because it's 6 kilohertz when you run an AM.
It is.
Wide.
Ben was saying that it's 1.4 ounces or 40 grams, his antenna. So that's how.
I think he's talking about the flaggy.
Is he talking about that, or is he talking about the other one?
It was in context.
Yeah. Call it the flaggy. Tio's just promoting himself. Membership. This is the free message. You can type if you're a member, you've got access to a free milestone chat every month, so you can do that as you will. Ham Radio Crusader wants to POTA and get my extra, but first the Kenwood D75. Are you going to get a D75?
I don't have time for it in my schedule unless it comes out sometime end of this year. Sorry. I'm all
we're in the next year already.
April already.
Hey, if Ken would want to send us some D75s to have a look at, we'd be more than happy to
It would certainly move it
evaluate
up in
them.
the queue a little bit if I didn't have to earn $800 before I spent $800.
Well, this is the thing,
I
isn't
can earn
it?
it on the backside by making videos. That's totally different.
Well, see, this is the thing is we can have a look at the D75 and say this is why it's worth $800. But if we don't get sent any Kenwood D75s, then we can't tell you why you should or shouldn't get it.
So Ben is correcting us. The Faraday pole is
yeah.
1.4 grams, and it's Faraday cloth woven into a piece of tape.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe you should make some socks, 70-centimeter socks. That would be awesome. Yeah, and I agree. 725 for an HT is crazy, but there is a lot of stuff in that HT.
70-centimeter socks. Are you going to load them up while you're wearing them? So, like, when you
remember that saltwater gain, baby.
Hold on a minute. I'm not getting into the repeater that well.
Stick my foot up in the air, yeah. But imagine the saltwater gains.
Yeah. Now, I've been seeing this purple station here popping up in my waterfall rather strong on FT8. So while we're doing that, I'm going to try and work him because
T32
I want to
TT.
try and get a new. Yeah, I want to try and get a new one in.
So I guess part of the justification for that HT is it should be full duplex. It has built-in real APRS, and it has a built-in TNC. So duplex gets you an extra $100 in the cost, and the APRS, the real APRS gets you $100 extra in the cost, and the real TNC gets you almost $200 extra in the cost. So that's $400 above the cost of your average flagship top 3 HTs. So there you go.
From what I heard though, it's not full duplex, right?
The 75 should be. I don't know. I don't remember.
I keep hearing, and someone might be able to correct us in the
it's
chat
not
or
full
not.
Duplex. They're correcting me.
Yeah.
Good job, chat.
So that's
I can be wrong.
Wasn't the D74 also not full duplex? Because the D72 is. So kind of why would you take a step back like that? Especially since they're all similar radios.
I'll tell you what, you know where all your friends are when you say something wrong and they all come out and start yelling at you. All right, thanks, boys.
Is the D75 74 full duplex? Because I don't think
I didn't even know
either.
Shane was watching.
I was talking to Shane about just before the start of the stream, actually. So
I know the 72 is, and I thought the 74 was, but I'm sure it's not. And then the 75 is also not because it's the same. It's the same radio. They just replaced some chips, and they had to rename it thanks to FCC.
Yeah. So, there was Mrs. T.O. we saw just briefly coming out of the bathroom, I think. You might want to just tighten up your shot a little bit there. The 74s, I don't think it was either. So, I mean, for satellites like
so I would skip it at that price, but that's me.
Well, Rob would know this, that full duplex is means a big difference when you're working satellites because you can hear if you're actually getting into the repeater, or especially on the FM birds. Which is funny too because all of their older models, Kenwood, are all full duplex as well. Like the D710, the mobile radio that I've got here, that's full duplex as well. So
now it's funny. I don't really understand unless you're doing crossband repeat as a dedicated. Well, not even crossband repeat. That doesn't need to be full duplex. I was going to say I don't understand full duplex in a mobile because you're not supposed to assault the satellites with 50 watts.
No. And you can listen to, my Yaesu's also full duplex. You can listen to one frequency while you're talking on the other. And sometimes if you're scanning on one side of the radio and you're talking on the other and then someone comes up on the other side, it's a little bit distracting. Andy says AM is fun on 10 meters. And then Shane also says that the 7300 sounds good on AM. Let's get through... Now people have found me on 10 meters. Yeah.
That's the gray line working in Florida.
See, I was kicking myself for selling my 72 as well, and then I found one just before I came over to the US because I knew that it had APRS in it. I knew how it worked. I liked the radio. I wanted to get one back anyway, so I found one. I paid way too much for it, but it doesn't matter. I got it, and I'm happy with it.
Well, you used it a lot too.
I
That was
did.
your APRS beacon in the US.
The only thing that I need to get in this is another battery. So I'm not sure if you can still get these batteries like on eBay or something like that.
There's got to be an aftermarket, twice the capacity battery by now.
Well, the battery life on these is absolutely horrendous. In fact, I can't even get the battery off. That's how good it is. There we go. So it's got stickers all on it. Someone must have bought this in August 20 or February 2021. I don't know what that means. But
back when it was new, they bought it in August, and then they recharged it for the first time in February.
That said, though, the cool thing about this radio is that it has a socket on the side, and you don't see this in many radios. You can put 13.8 volts directly into the side. So you can charge. You can either charge it directly or you can run it directly off 12 volts, which is...
So if you opened up your FT5D, you would know that you could do that on the FT5D as well.
It's migrated from this desk. It's over there in the pile of I don't really care pile.
The Isle of Misfit radios. So the problem with the FT5D, if you unplug that 12 volt connection from the side, it shuts the radio off, even though it has a battery in it. And if you have it off and you're charging, it says now charging, and it has a charging bar indicator that never grows ever. It stopped holding a charge in February, right, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it worked okay for me, but you got to turn, it worked okay, you got to turn all the things off, like TNC off, GPS off, all the stuff that uses the battery. You've got to put the battery saver on. When I ran it on the train, I had it plugged into power, so that was keeping it going. But
train power.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's just strange that the 75 didn't have all of that. That said, though, it's good to see Kenwood actually making some new stuff. So we want them to do a mobile radio next to replace the 710. That would be good.
I want to hate on that Pico APRS, but everybody
loves it.
It's like it's the only thing in its space. So like I kind of also want to celebrate that it exists. It's a 1 watt tiny HT that does APRS as its main gig, and then a whole bunch of other stuff secondary.
So Mike says, my only AM contact was with Lord Callum on 10 meters. Did you know that I'm a Lord now? Did I tell you that?
No, you did not. I was actually going to ask you.
Were you?
I was. Because Mike had his shirt with Lord Callum on the Lord Mike on the side.
Oh,
must refer to me as Lord Mike now.
Yes.
No, so I must not.
Yes. So, well, I can be referred to in two ways. I can be referred to as Lord Hayden, or I can be referred to as Lord Honeywood, which sounds a little bit more posh, a little bit more upper class.
Lord Honeywood.
But yes, Callum, I know, gave us a early Christmas gift in some lords. What do you call them? Lords, not lords.
Landed gentlemen.
No. What are they called? Lordships.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Now you own a tiny piece of Scotland.
No, I don't think it is in Scotland. I'm pretty sure that was in the UK.
Okay, well, you own a tiny piece of the UK.
I do, I think. So basically, yes, that is. I am. I will accept your lordship. I will accept that. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, thanks,
and
Callum.
Andy's saying liars. I'm not sure what that's about.
Saying that we're not lords.
Is it lairs?
Lairs. That might be lairs, not liars.
I don't know. He'll explain more.
I think that's when there's more than one lord. Is that correct? I don't know. But I've got all the official paperwork. So there you go.
And Lee, you are correct. Scotland is inside the UK. And Hayden, you should know that.
Why should I know that?
Because you're a subject, and now you're a lord. On top of that,
I am a subject.
Subject of the king.
Yeah. For now. Jeff, how did you get a D74 for $200? That's a pretty good steal. It's not a bad deal. Yeah.
So Andy was missing the D. Lairds.
You thought that you were calling us liars. So Michael tried to contact on 10 meters. No, I called you back with a signal report, but I didn't get anything back. So I don't know. Keep trying.
Viscount of Sealand. I love it. I want to go to war with the Dominion of Melchizedek.
It was a pretty cool gift, yeah. It is upstairs. Otherwise, I'd show it off. You get like a little pack that has the certificate in there, and then it tells you all about the land and there's like it's the classic castles. What do you call them? I don't know. The castles on these land up in the Highlands. And you can go and visit there as well. And then they make it specifically clear and say, you don't own any land. It's just been put aside for you. I'm like, cool. So I can't go and view
your money in the bank. It's a number in a spreadsheet that's been put aside for you.
I can't view my 1 foot by 1 foot square piece of grass. But no, that's cool. Victorian DX says, I'm the king of my own backyard. So, yeah. Oh, here we go. Now I think I've got Jeff. Jeff's trying to call me on FT8.
No, you can hear him.
I can hear him. And this is on, I think this is on the DX Commander at the moment. So there you go.
Yeah, Lee, I'm with you. I got about 1/64th royalty in me. I don't know which 64th of me it is, but, I'm sure we're all related somehow.
We're all royalty at the end of the day, are we? Didn't get a reply. Oh no, you did call again. Just didn't get my report. Yeah. So potentially new radios. Do you think? I mean, ICOM's been pretty busy over the last few years. So who knows?
They're going to have to be now. They got to catch up to Yaesu.
Well, are they going to? Is that a joke? Are they going to release anything, do you think?
It hurts sometimes.
Don't know.
I don't know.
I can say that I do know that Baofeng are working on a few things. So
well, they've got like 27 new radios out now.
Yeah, all using the same model numbers. No, they've got a new radio coming out. You know that GMRS, that 5G, UV5G? So it's pretty much one of those, but it's using the same chip as the Quansheng. So they've wised up to using that.
Nice.
They've also found someone, they've given it to someone, and then they've started a GitHub page for people to hack it. So it sounds like they're happy to see people buying them to open them up. But it's using the same chip, but it looks sexier than the Quansheng. It's that nice color screen.
So Rob's got a good point. I think that the 705 makes a fantastic mobile radio. It's just not powerful enough. So if they do that hybrid, body of the radio below the seat thing with the 705 as the display and all the connectors, kind of like the 7100 is, I think that would go off really well.
And you're talking only. See, I don't want to see just dual. I just don't want to see just dual banders. I want to see a quad bander.
I want to see a full shack in a box. I want to see a 7100 replacement with a 705 head instead of that. I mean, I like the wedge. The wedge actually makes sense when you have it in your hands. It's just such a deviation. I mean, you saw it in my car. It's such a deviation from the norm that it's kind of shocking. And then you put it into play and you're like, why didn't everybody else think of this? So, yeah. So HF Mobile. No, full HF 2 meter, 70 centimeter, HF plus dual band.
Because it's been a little while since they've done, like they had the 706 Mark II G, and then they replaced that with the 7000, which had the color screen, and then they kind of stopped doing it. They kind of stopped that mobile, like the 7100. But the 7100, I wouldn't say was an upgrade to the 7000 because the 7000 had the color screen in that same sort of form factor. And then they went to like the 7100.
Has the same OS as the 7300, 9700, 705.
The same OS.
Yeah, the same operating style.
Just not just a different front end. Yeah. I'd imagine that if they do, like, yeah, you're right. It would be good to see something like a 7000, 706, 7000 type form factor, but with the color screen like a 705. But will that disrupt the sales of a 7300 and a 9700 and a 705? Like, is that going to disrupt? Because they've got those three. Would that disrupt the sales on that?
I don't think it would be an issue. I think people will buy it no matter what. I mean, I still want a 9700, even though I've heard lots of bad things about it.
What's the bad things about it? There's nothing wrong with them.
It drifts. It needs a signal reference.
We've discussed this before, haven't we?
We have.
We've done videos on this.
I would love to have a 9700.
I'm spinning the dial of mine right now.
Yeah. I don't have anybody to talk to though.
If they come out with a mobile ICOM radio and it was an HF to 70 centimeters shack in a box, so you've got 100 watts on HF, right? You've got the 50 watts on 2 meters and 70 centimeters, let's assume. So where does that place the 705? Because the form factor will be a little bit bigger than a 705, but not really that much, not that much worse. I mean, weight-wise, it probably would be the same as the 705. Maybe.
Well, kind of like the 905 is a control head for that remote box up on the mast.
Yeah.
The 71, the 715, whatever you want to call it, the new version, the 7105 could be the control head in the 705 box, because that actually mounts really well in a car with the 1/4-20 screw on the bottom, or the Acme mount on the bottom.
Oh yeah,
because I had that in my car for a while. It's just low power.
You're gonna have to get a 9700 now. I'm not sure what you'd use it for out there though.
Moon bounce.
Are you going to do moon bounce? Are you?
Yeah, it's a ham radio goal for 2020. Never. I mean, it's on the list of things to do, but it's never going to happen.
Do you have a 9700? Do you, Rob? You could use it for satellites. It works really well for that because it's got the COM port in the back, so you can pull the audio in and out, and you can control it over CAT. So you can use software to automatically do the Doppler shift.
Doppler shift. Yep.
Yeah. So that's really good. I need to research some more about that because I know that you can do it, and you can use software for it, but I've tried it and I'm not sure that I've got it working properly.
Yeah, I don't have room in my travel trailer right now for a quad stacked 70 centimeter 11 element Yagi and the 700 watt amp.
You don't need that to work. You don't need that to work EME.
You don't need it. No, you just need it to be good at it.
You can work EME with 100 watts out of a 9700 barefoot. You could work the big EME stations on 2 meters.
Well, let's see it.
Well, I don't have a Yagi big enough. That's the only thing. You do need an 11. You do need an 11 element Yagi at the minimum, because that's the minimum that I've used. So Rob works well for satellite and use it for the Sidewinder on 2 meter SSB net. Yeah, I need to start using mine again for SSB. This radio, this 9700 holds the 1.2 gig record in Australia. So that was worth the money I paid for it.
And now you'll never sell it. It's certified.
It is. Can never sell it. If I sell it, I have to sign it and send it to someone.
Yeah, and sell it for more than its market value because it's special.
Well, it's worth heaps more now because it's a record-breaking radio. So, Yeah, but for satellite, we should do a stream one day. I'm sure that Rob's knows how to do it. We should get him on a show, and we should go through the setup of setting up the 9700 for Doppler shift and the programs that he uses for satellite. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
James, can't you use a talk pod for moon bounce with all those harmonics? It should totally work.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that's always interested me was if you were on the moon, because we all know that you guys never went there, obviously, because
it's in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah. So if you could, can you imagine the reception that you get on your talk pod or your Baofeng up there? You'd be able to key every repeater in in the world that you could see, just about. Potentially.
I think you could.
Yeah. There you go. Satellite contact on Nuggets. What happened to Nuggets this week?
I was sick. I could not stand up or sit down.
Too much New Year's Day celebrations for you?
I wish it was that. I mean, I would love to look back and go, yep, that was awesome. That didn't happen. Hey, Mike, remember that time Nope, didn't happen.
No. Do you remember that time that you just woke up and struggled to stand? Yep, that happened.
Yeah, I got it from Joe Brett.
Yeah.
Too much Mississippi.
Is that a drink?
No, he's from Mississippi. He
know.
came to visit.
K5YVY, the best voice in ham radio.
Well, I mean, if you have to be known for something, it might as well be your voice.
Yeah. Very good. So we had a couple of suggestions in the chat. What else has everyone got planned for this year? What's the project that you really want to get to, that you should get to in January, that you're not going to get to till November or December? What's coming up next for you on your channel?
More DMR stuff. Apparently nobody likes DMR stuff. Though. So I put out a DMR video today, and people just hated on it.
You want to put out more DMR stuff with all of that hate?
I do. It's good for the algorithm. It makes ham radio more prominent, and if it gets people more aware of ham radio, then I'm all for it.
I put a thing. You probably saw it. I put a photo up on Twitter it was just a photo of the 8900 in the car, and it was, so CQ on a repeater, yes, no, and it was like literally everyone was like,
it was an argument. I saw that.
Half were yes, half were no. There was like 12,000 people saw the picture, and they're like, oh, and then I put a poll out, and everyone's saying no, everyone's saying yes. It was interesting. Nothing like a bit of debate, is there?
I mean, I think if you have a person who's new to your repeater that you've never heard of before, and they call CQ, welcome them with open arms. Glad to have you here. And then after about the 5th or 6th time that they do it, just very quietly, very personally, mention it to them at the next club meeting or something, and go, hey, by the way, if you just want to talk on the repeater, just, hey, this is KM9G. Anybody out there? This is KM9G listening. Because I agree, the listening and the monitoring, it's like, yeah, you're listening, but that doesn't mean you want to talk. The best way to do it is, this is KM9G on the, KY4PDI. Yeah, I'm making fun of you closely, Mike. KO4PDI repeater. I'm doing a test on an antenna. Can anybody hear me? And then everybody wants to jump in and tell you how good your antenna is or how bad it is.
But if you're always saying that you're monitoring on a repeater, then, and if everyone says they're monitoring, then no one talks on it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we can we could settle the debate. We've put a poll in the chat, and 90% are saying no. So there you go.
Oh, I made no friends with that comment. Okay, awesome. Let me say yes. There we go. Now there's one yes.
So you're the only yes. And then once we finish that poll, we need to do another one to say, do you hate DMR? I think is the next
Yeah. So Ray says he wants to copy CW in his head.
No,
Yeah. So
on his head.
on his head. So just
Yeah. Um,
so the trick for that is make one contact a day, then make two contacts a day. Then when you get good at one or two contacts a day, then literally, and you're gonna hate this, but literally get into like a state QSO party or a contest. Because if you pay attention in the contest, the person calling on the holding the frequency, the person holding the frequency is repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And you don't have to catch them on the first try. You don't have to catch them on the second try. You can catch them on the 15th try and then throw your call sign out and your whatever your contest exchange is, and you're good. And you don't have to know much, and you don't even have to do that first. You can do it in the opposite order. You can throw your call out first and then listen the next 17 overs that he tells everybody else his call sign and his exchange.
So, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to find. Oh, there's a question here from Joe. Question, I think it's, will we still have years of good usage on 10 meters after the peak? So we'll probably have maybe
2 or 3.
Hey, two,
probably 2 or 3
before the bottom of the cycle. But the thing with 10 meters is that every summer that comes around, and there's also a little bit in very small peak in winter, but every sort of late spring, summer that comes around, you get sporadic E, and that's every year. So you'll always get good propagation around that time too. You probably won't work necessarily worldwide, but at least you'll work, within the country. Sometimes you work just out. So like it will work Japan, for instance, from here, pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we mentioned CW, so there's Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's.
Man, rag chewing makes me sweat. He's right, but man, it makes me sweat. Because the thing with rag chewing is you're going to get words you've never heard of before on the air, and then you want to talk about the weather and their ailments, and it's like, I don't know how to spell weather in CW yet.
And if you get it wrong, James says, this is the proper way to do it. This is KM9G. Please, for the love of God, can someone talk to me instead of calling CQ on the repeater? That sounds like a very good idea. What's our poll say? So it's 70-30. So, well, it was actually, no, it was 68-31, which doesn't make 100% because YouTube can't count. No. You think that a website that counts analytics to the viewer would be able to work out a percentage on a poll, right?
Oh, my favorite part about YouTube analytics is every page you go to has the same category of number, but a different number in the category. How many views does this video have? You go into 3 different places and you get 3 different numbers. Oh, yep. I can answer this poll too. Yes, I hate DMR.
Oh, look at it go back and forth. It's just going to go yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So Clinton, pity amateur radio lost 11 meters in my opinion. Is better propagation than 10 meters. So the difference is like 1 megahertz. Why do you think it has better propagation? I think that 11 meters is not how do you say it? It feels like it's better because there's more people there. There's more people that have like random CBs and start jumping on that. So if you want to know that 10 meters is open, you go down to CB first and you listen to like 27-355 or whatever the call channel is. And if you can hear that, then you know that 10 meters is open. So that's just my opinion, which is probably wrong. And if it is wrong, everyone will let us know in the chat, won't they? They've already done that for you with your full duplex mistake today.
Exactly. Yeah, I think DMR it's just alive right now because CB is really alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It looks like people are changing their votes because the votes are going up and down. Like it's going to 47 and then to 44 and then back up again. Make up your mind. Do you hate DMR or not?
Can you change your vote after you make it?
I don't.
No,
I
you
can't
can't
vote.
change your vote. You can't change your vote.
Well, there you go. YouTube's broken again. I can't vote on my own poll.
Well, I mean, once you voted, you shouldn't be able to change your vote. I agree with that.
Trey says, I thought FT8 was the most pointless thing ever. Then I got hooked onto it.
Yep.
Okay, so this might be a bit of a controversial piece of the show here. So I went we don't do controversy. So I went on to 6 meters. When was it? Not yesterday, day before, Tuesday. And 6 meters in the afternoon from about 3 p.m. in the afternoon local here to probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night was just wall-to-wall Japanese stations on FT8 on 6 meters. There, I put out one CQ call, and I'm not even kidding. I put out a CQ call, and I had 20 JA stations come back to me. And I worked through them all, and it wasn't so much that there was a lot. It was just really, really strong. Every JA station was like +5, +10, above 0, right? So I thought, okay, I'll go down to SSB and I'll call on the call channel, the international call frequency. And in years gone past, probably before FT8, you would have called there when you knew that there was an opening, and you would have a pile-up, a massive pile-up of like 25 operators trying to call you all on SSB, and it's pretty cool, to be quite honest. And I gave a call out, nothing. I kept calling, and I turned on the voice keyer in the 7300 and just kept the voice keyer going. And I worked 4 stations on SSB with varying signal strength in probably 30 minutes. And I'd never had that before. And I went back to FT8 on 6 meters, and there was still like 50 Japanese stations on FT8. So I feel like they've probably moved towards FT8, but I would like to see when you start to see the signal on FT8 starting to get really, quite strong, then you should go down to sideband, surely, and have fun on sideband. I mean, do you agree with that, Steve, or do you think that I'm crazy? Or
oh, you're crazy. I think FT8 is one of those things where you have to, it's very obvious why you would want to do voice on ham radio. It's not so obvious. You have to kind of make your own reason to do FT8. I mean, if you're doing voice contacts and you're talking to somebody in a strange country, there's something rewarding about that. But there's also something rewarding about, like, what I like to do is I like to put up an antenna in a different orientation, and I just instantly get an answer back that says, this is working. I don't have to talk to anybody. Like my signal was heard in Japan, and most of the time Japan isn't awake. Like, there's just somebody just running a station, listening and reporting that they've heard people.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that FT8's bad. I mean, it was really good because it was fantastic to work them all. I was just saying that when you go down to sideband because you want to try something different, when I mean different, you want to go back to just working, sideband again. There wasn't anyone there, which was a little bit, it might have also just been propagation. It might have been the fact that no one could hear me, but except for those 4 stations. But it's kind of one of those things where when FT8, when it starts to get really easy, I mean, what's the next challenge? The next challenge is kind of voice, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it takes care of all the mic fright issues, but I mean, I also like doing POTA. I like doing the pile-ups on POTA. I really specifically like holding a frequency in a contest, and doing POTA is very similar to holding a frequency, but I don't have to wait for the contest.
So you like doing voice for POTA, but not FT8 for POTA? But you'll do FT8, but because like FT8 for POTA, you can activate a park like in 5 minutes.
Oh, you want to argue? We can do this. No, you can get more contacts faster on voice in a pile-up situation than you can on FT8.
This is talking about your because you had this, didn't you?
I've done this plenty of times. Yeah, I've done this. I haven't done it in a video, but I've done it plenty of times. I mean, if you literally do the math, it's 1 minute 15 seconds per contact. You can shave off one of the overs in FT8, so 1 minute per contact. So it's going to take you 10 minutes. I can do like 30 contacts in 10 minutes on voice.
So in this situation, because you're in the US where you've got a lot of density with amateur radio operators, right? So you've got a lot around. If you spot on POTA, chances are you're going to get your 10 contacts pretty easy, even if you had a real compromised antenna, right? If I went out and I did POTA here, there's some dedicated POTA and Parks operators who
even
always
Mike agrees with me. You know I'm right.
who will always be there for you. But what I think I was trying to say was that if you had a compromised antenna and you tried to operate that here, you're probably not going to be able to work your 10 contacts, or it's going to be a real struggle, especially if you're running like 5 watts out of your 705. You might not be able to work your 10 on voice. So then what you would do is if you had FT8, you could work your 10 contacts,
So
easier.
POTA in VK is only like a year old, right?
No, it's older than that. It's been there. I think it's been there since almost day one. It's just only started to gain a little bit of momentum now.
Yeah. POTA is just one of those things where people flock to it, I think, for a couple of reasons. As a hunter in the shack, you know there's always going to be somebody there that wants to make a contact. You know they don't want to do a rag chew unless you're actually already friends with them. So that's pretty cool. And then when you're in the park, you know that you're going to have people that want to talk to you. It's kind of like, I hate to use the cliche, but it's kind of this perfect storm of ham radio where everything on each side of the transaction comes together properly. You're not going to get stuck in a rag chew. You're not going to get stuck in the middle of a net where you've got to wait a half an hour for them to acknowledge you, and then another hour and a half for them to come back around the circle to get to you, and then stuff like that. I mean, everything has its place and people love everything. I'm just saying why I like POTA.
Martin, ham radio in 2024 is for me to get the license. What country are you in, I wonder? And how are you going with the study to get your license? Yeah. It's I get your point.
Yeah, I need to put out a video on. I mean, the math on FT8 is simple. Absolute best perfect conditions, it's going to be 10 minutes to get your 10 contacts.
That's also too, and when you say best perfect conditions, that includes that you don't have to resend your signal report because they didn't hear you. Whatever else happens, if you're not getting their reports back, if you've got to fiddle around to get it going, all that sort of thing, like setting up the laptop
from the beginning of your first contact to the end of your last contact. Absolute best record you could do on any radio except for a multi-slice radio is 10 minutes.
Yeah, because you can get it's probably slightly less than 10 minutes, because if you took out the grid square, if you didn't have people sending grid squares, which is an extra slot, then it's 45 seconds.
It's minute 15.
Oh, is it a minute? I thought it's 45 seconds.
Yeah, if you double click on TX2, it'll start with that one.
So,
and if you do call CQ POTA on FT8, you get more responses than if you call CQ regular on FT8 too.
Well, you could cut down the time. Well, first of all, you could cut down the time if you used FT4, but
not as many people there.
No, but if you on FT8, if you responded to CQ calls, that would cut down if you didn't send your 73 at the end, right? That would be 45 seconds.
Even if you, well, no, you still have to get, you'd have to get 20 contacts. Never mind. But on voice, I can easily get, I can guarantee 25 contacts in 10 minutes on voice from start of first QSO. I don't mean start of first call CQ. I mean start of first QSO. I'm going to give them both the exact same starting point, and the exact same ending point is the final 73.
I know that this is supposed to say POTA, but this is quite funny if you read it this way. I have started to hear and work more pain in the ass stations in Europe. I think you mean POTA stations. Yeah, POTA stations. Martin, Austria. Okay, cool. Working a lot on CB here, but now it's time to make the next step.
Excellent.
I don't know.
I know nothing about Austria licensing.
Neither do I, so I can't help you. But I'm sure that you're working on it. That'd be good if you get your license, and
I wonder if it'd be easier to get your U.S. license and then get your reciprocal license in your own country.
So our system was really convoluted here. It's actually changing on February, I think it's the 15th or February the 16th. So pretty much the question pools, the exams, and everything else are going to be administered by the FCC's equivalent here. So they're actually going to do it. And, you know, they're going to get VEs and stuff to do the exams. And exams are going to be free, which is fantastic. So it's only if you pass your exam, then you have to pay for your license, which is, I think, like $40 for your call sign. And then you never have to pay to renew, which is, you know, that's a big thing here. Obviously, you don't have that there, but so that's going to be a big thing. But it used to be that if you passed your US license, you could get your reciprocal. You'd pay like $90 or something like that. You do a small regulations exam because our regulations are different than other countries, and then you would get your equivalent license. So if it was a technician, you'd get the lowest class license here. If you were general, you'd get the standard, etc. So it is a thing. Darren, this year's going to be antenna building and testing, just back after a 20-year break. Have you noticed that? I've been hearing a lot of people that have been coming back to ham radio after a massively long break.
It's actually a normal thing. People will get interested in it from like their parents or from some youth group or something, and then life. You know, you get married, you have kids, you go to school, you get a job, whatever the case may be, and then you come back to it. It's a very normal thing.
So I think Callum brought this up in one of his videos, and he was talking about how whilst we target youth in ham radio, that you're targeting them now, but it's not for now, if you know what I mean. It's for when they come back in 25 years' time,
right,
or 30 years' time. Once they're
set the hook.
So it's like, you know, they get to that age where they're like, oh, hey, I want a new hobby. I want something to play with. And then they're like, oh, I did ham radio when I was 15.
Yeah, but I mean, don't forget
17.
that, you know, doing POTA or building antennas with your kids or setting up your ham shack.
That can be a now thing. Yeah.
Is definitely a thing you can do when you're a new dad or a new mom.
A new mom.
Mom.
New mom. A mom. So you spell it M-O-M. We spell it M-U-M.
Right.
Mom.
I was trying to cross the pond on that one.
Yeah. Michael, well, you've picked up. What was the word? What have you picked up from me that you say all the time?
You said this to me the other day. I don't know.
Yeah, you've forgotten it. You told me about it a little while ago. I can't remember. It's something that I say. And you pick sweet as. I don't. Yeah, it's not. But really
when I said that, you said that isn't what you said.
That's a news. No, that's not what you said. Michael's coming back as well. That's great. Licensed back in the late 70s and coming back. Awesome. Yeah, I can't remember what word it was. It was something or other. You know who hasn't been in the chat today?
No, I don't. No idea.
Everyone. Well, the first thing is the rest of my 48,000 subscribers, for starters.
Right. Where are you people?
See, this is the other thing about YouTube is that you have, like, subscribers don't really mean anything, do they? Because they never, you know, only a very, very small percentage show up to actually watch live streams and videos.
Live streams aren't for everybody. I get it.
No, that's true. But no, I was actually going to say the person that hasn't been in the chat is Big Jim.
Yeah, he's not in the back chat either. He must be like actually making a video or something.
Well, the back chat, well, you know what Jim's like with back chat.
Yeah.
But
you think he swears a lot in public?
Yeah, I know. And we had this thing last week. See, when we streamed, we were talking about Jim, and then there was a technical issue. YouTube just dropped out and stopped. Hold on. Before we continue on that, 59% have said no, and 40. Oh, it's still going up and down. But okay, so 62% say no and 37% say yes. Again, it's not 100%, but
mostly Posty is absolutely correct. Ham DMR does in fact suck. They've convoluted a system that worked fine for its intended purpose, and here we are today in the ham world with it. You are absolutely correct.
So I've never used it, but apparently P25 is supposedly the best or one of the best digital modes, voice modes for ham radio. That might be, I don't know because I've never used it. That's all I've heard. When you compare DMR, Fusion, like audio quality and quality wise, I'm not talking about usability. So apparently P25, and P25 is also used a lot in commercial service. Sam has become a new YouTube member. Thank you, Sam. ZL2AAX and VK2HAU. Jason says my alerts don't always work and new videos aren't always on my sub. Yeah, it's broken. Like we've talked about this, haven't we? That when you release a video, like half the time, like I'm subscribed to you on everything, and I didn't even know that you did a DMR video today if I didn't open up the app.
Well, you're a member, so you should have gotten it Monday.
No, didn't get it.
Yep.
Didn't see it. I didn't get the email. I got the supporters email, which you've got the supporters call for the coming up in like
45 minutes
time. But I didn't get the other one. No.
So if you're a member of my channel, we're doing a behind the scenes, not YouTube, members only hangout.
Yep, which you do once a month, right?
Every month, beginning of the month. We try to do a first Wednesday of the month, which is today.
Thank you for the $2 super chat. After 38 years, ham radio is never boring. That is 100% correct, right? 100% correct.
Yes. If you're bored in ham radio, you're not doing ham radio.
Well, we started this stream by saying, "What are you going to be doing this year?" And you're not like if there's something if there's anything that you get out of this stream, which is probably not a lot. Try something new, just one thing that's new that you've never done before this year, and have a play around with it. So,
that's actually the whole reason why I have a ham radio channel, is because I want to not forget all the things that I get to play with, and you get to play with a lot of stuff in ham radio. I could make 4 videos a day if I had time. I just don't have time, and they would all be like completely different subjects.
Yeah, that's right. But so I was talking about Jim. So last week we were talking about something very serious related to Big Jim, and and Vern turns up just as we're talking about Jim, and YouTube crashed. So we're going to continue on and say what happened. So basically, Jim, he